Good morning, folks. The Ezekiel Elliott deal is now happening. Reported early this morning by the crew over at NFL Network, Ian Rapoport, Tom Pelissero, etc. The Dallas Cowboys are set to sign Ezekiel Elliott to I assume, one-year deal. I haven't actually seen any contract details yet as of filming. I'll check in as we film this at like 7:15, whatever, a.m. Eastern time in a little bit here with if there's an update near the end of the video. Elliott is going to re-sign with the Dallas Cowboys. That's been the expectation for several days now, and the Cowboys forgot to draft a running back, so it doesn't really add any surprise there either. By adding Elliott, the worst running back room stays the worst running back room in the NFL. The Cowboys, let's start positive. I'm hopeful that a upgraded run blocking offensive line with some additions can result in better short yardage and red zone results than what Dallas had last year, but also what Zeke did last year. He actually wasn't great in that area. He's not the same pass protector he was in his prime, but he's still a good pass protector. He still helps you in that area. I think Rico Dowdle's still better, but Zeke's not a liability in that area like, say, Mini Deuce Vaughn is from that perspective. But after weeks of the Cowboys flirting and Jerry Jones saying how he thought Zeke played great down the stretch, which we will talk about in today's video, and this will be the last of my complaining that I do about the Zeke stuff. Maybe it's a lot today's live show. We will be live again this afternoon, so you guys can make sure you are subscribed. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. Been a long couple days. A lot of draft picks, UDFAs yesterday. Got a little bit of sleep last night and wake up and Zeke signed, which wasn't overly surprising. It was a matter of what day it ends up being. Was it a Monday or a Tuesday? But that has been the trend this team was going to go down for a while there. So a lot to talk about here with Ezekiel Elliott. So hit that sub button if you haven't already. Again, as of filming, no contractual details here on the Ezekiel Elliott move. But this team needed running back help. At least there's something in terms of running back help coming in, I guess. We'll get to I'm going to bring in some of the old stats we had done previously on these videos. We talked about Zeke for a while now. So you'll see some of the last 4 year stats. You'll see the short yardage stats, the red zone stats, and this alleged strong finish to Zeke's season, which just didn't happen. It's not true. But I do want you guys to grade the signing. I'm going to assume 1 year deal with not that much money, but we'll see. So A, B, C, D, or F in the comment section. It'll be the pinned comment on today's video. So if that ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Let's talk about what Zeke has done the last 4 years. And again, this is going to come up in a graphic, so ignore some of the old, outdated. It's not a sponsor of today's show, but it's just what I had from previous times doing it, so ignore that. Ezekiel Elliott last year, 184 carries, 642 yards, 3.5 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. 231 carries in 2022, 876 yards, 3.82 yards per carry, and 12 touchdowns as well. 2021, 237 carries, 1,000 yards, 4.2 yards per carry, 10 touchdowns. 2020, 244 carries, 979 yards, 4 flat on the average there, and 6 touchdowns. Here's my issue. This is a player who has declined. We cannot sit here and think that, yes, Ezekiel Elliott is returned to form. The Patriots supporting cast was so bad, and it was bad, to be clear. It was not a good supporting cast in New England. It was a bad group. Although if you look at the ESPN pass block win rate, I believe the Patriots were actually, or run block win rate, are actually higher than Dallas, which I don't know how much I really believe that, but it wasn't a good group there. It straight up wasn't. And Zeke has not played well. You guys know that my daughter is 2.5 years old, and she has never seen Zeke have a 100-yard game in her lifetime. He hasn't done it since the beginning of the 2021 campaign. And unless you're giving him like 25 carries, I don't think he's going to get there. That's the crux of my issue. This is a non-explosive back at this time in his NFL career. And the efficiency isn't very good either. So you're getting some short yardage stuff, which we'll get into. It's not very good, by the way, relative to what it was in his prime. This is not the same guy that we all loved at the beginning of his career. It's simply not. More stats, more stuff to come here. If you agree with me, you probably think the Cowboys still need to go trade for a running back, because I don't think you have a real starter on your roster right now. Do the Cowboys still need to go get a running back? Why for yes and for no in the comments section. Everyone goes, the short yardage stuff. He's great in short yardage. He actually was worse than the guys you had/have last year. Obviously, supporting offensive line stuff helps. We'll bring the graphics up here again. On more carries, Tony Pollard was more efficient, had more touchdowns, and on 12 more carries, had double the first downs, 15 to 30, and to get first downs inside of 3 yards. He was way better at executing that than Ezekiel Elliott was last year. Rico Dowdle was actually hyper efficient, and I wish they'd given the ball more in short yardage situations. I'm a little frustrated that they didn't go down that path. And it's not 8+ box defenders. That was the real reason for stuff. No, the loaded box percentages from last year for Ezekiel Elliott was 17.93%. That's not that high. The high numbers are like McCaffrey at 36, Derrick Henry at 35. Khalil Herbert was at 31%. It was higher than what Tony Pollard had. I think it's often a schematic-based thing more than anything. But the defenders were not loading the boxes to stop Ezekiel Elliott in the ground game. They were not. It's not what teams did. The numbers that we can look at to be like, okay, what is it like trying to be independent of the supporting cast and everything? Good numbers like rushing yards over expected per attempt. Now, that tends to favor the explosive play metrics more than anything. Ezekiel Elliott was bottom 7th worst among the qualifying running backs. On average, it was negative 0.39 yards per carry. He had negative rushing yards over expected, meaning based on the blocking and everything over at NFL's Next Gen Stats, Elliott got fewer yards than what he was supposed to. So there's no big plays. Outside of he did the nice screen he took for a touchdown against the Steelers. Had a nice long run called back, unfortunately, by holding. He had a long of 17 last year on the ground. The long through the air was 23. So he had one explosive play last year in 884 carries and 51 catches. He's not efficient, not a big play guy. That's just Plotter, I'm sorry. Do we really think that, 2,000 touch running back entering his age 29th season is going to return to the form we all love? No! Let's be realistic here. If he can get to 4 yards per carry this season, I will call that a win. And that is the replacement level number. I will call that a win. And it is worse than what you had out of that Dowdle and Pollard last year, to be clear. Now, the one thing that I think you'll still get some stuff out of there with Zeke beyond vibes is touchdowns. Especially in the red zone, I assume they'll feature him a decent amount there. How many touchdowns do you think Ezekiel Elliott will have this season? I will put the over-under at 6. I'll go back to that 2020 campaign. That's rushing touchdowns, by the way. 8 if you include receiving touchdowns, too. I'll put the over-under at, 6.5 there. Get those votes in for me in the comment section right now. I do want to talk red zone here on today's show. Red zone stats from last year. We'll flash this up here, too. You guys know Ezekiel Elliott averaged 2.1 yards a carry in the red zone last season? Again, I know the supporting cast was bad, but let's not act like he's some godsend. The offensive line plays a massive role in that. I think the offensive line will be better. Again, I wish they'd given Rico Dowdle more red zone work. He was actually pretty good there. I think we are all justifiably hung up on the one play against the Dolphins. It was that play that were it was disastrous. Pollard was better in the red zone than Zeke was last year. I'm not saying I would have paid Ezekiel or Tony Pollard the money the Titans paid him, but we also need the Zeke Truther Brigade to stop telling me that Zeke is a better player than Tony Pollard. It's insanity. Come on. I'm hoping for replacement level play out of Zeke this year. That is my goal. And I do want to complain about one more thing, and then I'll mention some positive things to wrap up today's show as well. This idea that Zeke played strong down the stretch is gaslighting, and I'm tired of it. His last 5 games, once Ramondre Stevenson went down, once he took over, he averaged under 3 yards a carry. That is not good. That is terrible, actually. Even if the offensive line is better, we're angling to get to 4? We're hoping it's below average replacement level? I don't know how people have convinced everyone that, the Cowboys have said this, NFL media says, Zeke played great at the stretch. No, he didn't. He had like 3 really nice runs. That was it. Convince me that that Jerry didn't just watch the Steelers game highlights. Convince me of that. Because that's all I believe. The positives here that I will mention briefly. Vibes will be good in the locker room. Zeke is well liked by the players. I think that is a good thing. I don't think vibes win any championships, but it's a better thing right there. He does bring you some solid power overall. And, I'm hopeful that he hasn't fumbled much as of late. That minor issue he had, I think, was more or less fixed there. And I'm hopeful that he can do better than he had done stuff last year inside the red zone and in short yardage. You want to come say hi, Olivia? Come here. Come say hi. Get that passy out. Say hi.
Hi.
Can you say, go Cowboys?
Go Cowboys.
That's my girl. That's baby Olivia. She was up early, so that's how we knew everything happened there. So we'll be live again this afternoon, so make sure you guys are subscribed. One more time. Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.
Good job.